What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out this episode of the Christian Jensen podcast. Today, I've got Joel Cochran on. Joel has ran successful affiliates. He started a really successful CrossFit competition event company. Now he's running his company, Proclivity, where he primarily does life coaching through that. And he's also running sales for our friends at Best Hour of Their Day. So shout out to Ackerman and Fern. What Joel and I talk about today is how to tune into your feels, your emotions, so that we can balance a goal-oriented, lifestyle and how it makes you feel, how life makes you feel, how events and people make you feel, and how do we align those two so that your life moves in a way to where you are attracted to your goals, opposed to constantly chasing and reaching those and having them be so far out of reach. So this is a super fun one. There's going to be lots of actionable takeaways from how do we handle stress situations to how do I reframe my view of my current situation so that I can make every day the best day ever. I hope you enjoy. What's up, Joel? Thanks for hopping on my podcast with me.
Dude, very excited. I've watched a couple of your podcasts and super pumped to see where the wind blows us today.
You did? Which episodes did you watch? Thank you for watching them, by the way.
Oh, I watched the one with Marcus. Oh, not Marcus. Mark, England.
Yeah.
And that's always a one that's really with Mark. It's always nice watching him, right? And you guys got some really good stuff. So if you guys haven't listened to that episode, you did a really good job working the magic with Mark, England.
Thanks. That episode was really dense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot of that's one you can go and re-listen to 2 or 3 times and catch something new.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you did a really good job. I've suggested Mark to go on a couple different podcasts, and some hit it out of the park. They tap into the source, and others not so much. And you tapped into the source. That was a good one.
Oh, that's a big compliment. Thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Of course.
Well, before we dive too deep, into all the things that we found out we have in common after we connected.
Yes.
Let my listeners know who is Joel and what does Joel have going on.
Right on, man. Well, my name is Joel Cochran. I'm a 4th generation Nevadan, born and raised here in the state of Nevada, the north side of the state in Reno. I grew up here, went to high school here, graduated from the University of Nevada. From there, I started a CrossFit competition company, and it was called Human Performance Project. And this was back in the day before CrossFit competitions were super huge. Did that for about 2 years, put on a national competition, then started 2 CrossFit gyms here in Northern Nevada with Derek and Jacob Wellock, Double Edge Fitness. Did that for 6-7 years, then started a virtual business doing life coaching, nutrition coaching, and I also work for Best Hour of Their Day as well. So that's a current time, no kids, single guy living his best day ever.
Dude, that's a hearty resume. How old are you, Joel?
38.
Bro, you've done more in the first 38 years of your life than many people do their entire life. You ever think about that?
I do think about it and I celebrate it. It's important for us to be able to write down our celebrations. We tend not to do so. And so if we don't actually write down our celebrations, we open ourselves up for the imposter or our shadow or our doubts or disbeliefs to come in. And we've been driven so hard of like, you got to stay humble, let other people award you, and so on and so forth. Yet so many people are living in this victim mentality because they're waiting for someone else to give them praise for something they accomplished. And then when they do give them praise, they don't even give them the praise that they were looking for. Right? It's like I made the dinner for my wife, but I really put extra effort into the dessert. And we get done, and she goes, "Man, that steak was great." And you're like, but I put so much effort into the dessert. Well, she didn't care about dessert. You did. So you should pat yourself on the back and go, man, I did an incredible job with that dessert. And it's the same thing with the things I've accomplished in my career and what I've done. Um, I've celebrated a lot. I've written my stories down, and I have a folder in my phone. Some people might be like, man, this is real weird. But I have a folder in my phone of things I've accomplished. So, pictures that I look I look good in, right? I got the suit on, I look fresh. Hey, I'm gonna put that in that folder. That's a feel good photo. Maybe a physical accomplishment of running across the line after an ultra marathon. Yeah, you know what? That's going in that accomplishment folder. And I keep stacking those in. So the times I go, oh man, I don't know, am I doing the right thing? I pull up that folder and I go, dang, look at all the things you've done, all the things you've accomplished. What if you keep going? What if you keep going,
Mm.
Joel? What could happen?
That's cool. I
Yeah.
that two thoughts come to mind. One, I shared this with somebody recently that 5 years ago I quit being a high school math teacher because I realized that wasn't for me, and
Mm,
started pursuing the path that I'm on now. And at that time, the thing that scared me was connected with my stepdad passing away, and the thought of what if I died and I didn't even try these things that I wanted to try. And
yes.
like if I died today, would I be satisfied with at least the effort of the pursuit?
That's right.
Because there's always this endless pursuit. So it's like, would I be at least satisfied with the effort, not necessarily with the outcome? Did I
Hmm.
did I know that I with the time that I had to at least give it the best that I had?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
at
yeah.
that time, the answer was no. Like I
Mm,
wouldn't look back and be like, oh yeah, I'm stoked that at that time I was still really young. I was like, it was like my early 20s, but it was like at that
right.
point, it was like I graduated college, and it was like, you know, would I be cool with like thinking like, man, I graduated college and then started teaching and did a job I didn't like? Like, no, that doesn't feel good. And I'm
Yes.
finally at this point where now, if I did die today, um, I'd be content. Like, obviously, there's more things that I want to
Yeah.
do, and like I'm excited to like, what if I keep going?
Yeah.
Like you said, but I would know like, hey, man, like I got as far as I felt. Uh, I got as far as I felt like was possible given the timeline that I was given,
Mm,
and um, and I'm happy with that. And so tying that into the second thing is, my wife and I always talk about like, what are you grateful for? And one of my favorite things is asking people, what are three things that you're grateful for? And it's just a fun little thing for us to be thankful, and like you said,
yeah.
celebrate.
Hmm.
And I found that recently it hasn't been hitting quite the same for me.
Hmm.
And then I find myself uh, obsessing over what's next. And
Yep.
it's like, how do I build what's next? How do I force
Mm,
what's next?
yeah.
And, uh, we've been talking about how we realized within the past couple months that we're really past couple weeks that um, we believe that we're actually inhibiting our ability
Hmm.
to grow and be abundant
Yeah.
because of a lack of content of
Mm,
where we're at.
mm,
And
yes.
so balancing like how balancing being content and hungry, being
Hmm.
content and what if we keep going. And so I've been this past week, every morning, instead of writing down I'm grateful or I'm thankful for, I've been writing I'm content with. And if this
Mm,
is all that I had, if it
yeah.
never got bigger, would I be content?
Mm,
Um, and I don't think it's a would be. I think it's a choosing to be.
that's
And
right.
so if it's never got more, I'm choosing to be content.
Oh man, dude, you're going right down my alleyway, man. Uh, I have a saying, best day ever, right? Um, when people ask me at the grocery store, "How's your day going?" I make eye contact with them and I go, "The best day ever." I slow it down. I look in their eyes and I go, "The best day ever." And people will stop and go, "Whoa, but oh my gosh, like what happened? Did you get married? This and that?" And I go, Guess what happened this morning? I put 2 feet on the floor. See, I got the opportunity 750,000 people didn't have today. That's the average for people dying in the world every day. 750,000 people. And so each time when we talk about gratitude, I get to the edge of my bed, and before I stand up, I take a deep breath, and then I get up, and then I literally like bend down, touch my knees, my toes, touch my legs, touch my chest, my face, my nose, my eyes, my fingernails. Like, holy crap. Dude, I have fingernails? I got freaking eyeballs? I've won. The day has won. I have health. I have this. I have whatever it is. And if my back's out or my knee's bummed or I just got my heart broken, I just go, well, and I'm still standing here. I get the opportunity to recover my knee. I get the opportunity to heal my heart. I get the opportunity to feel depression. I get the opportunity to feel guilt or shame. I get the opportunity because just on the other side of that is the reward of life. And so I go, dude, this is the best day ever. There's nothing but opportunities here. And when I get to bed later that night, I get on my knees, and I say a prayer that I won't wake up in the morning. This is it. I'm not guaranteed that I'm going to wake up. And so I pray about my mom and my dad, my nephews and my family. And I pray over them living a life that's fulfilled and warm. And then I lay my head down going, this could be it. Because there sure is a lot of people who thought, oh, of course I'm going to wake up tomorrow. And they didn't. And so then when I wake up, I go, oh, you've given me another opportunity? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is going to be the best. And so I seize, I take action. The question is, why not? And the answer is yes. Well,
When did you
why not?
start? What got you hooked on the best day ever?
It was a pivotal switch from talking to my brother on the phone. We talk almost every day. And I was in this time period, I was finishing my time off in the CrossFit gym and put a lot of effort and just knew that I was moving on. And we were having a saying of, man, I just feel like I'm really poopy pants today. And if you ever seen like, a child who has a diaper full of poop and is running around, waddling around, that was what was happening. Because I kept saying like, oh man, I got poopy pants today. I got poopy pants today. And at some point I went, of course I have poopy pants because I'm not taking the damn poop out of my pants. No, what's going to happen here is it's going to go absolutely the other way. Absolutely the other way. And so with training, with the enlifted method, with unraveling my own junk and victim mentality, I got to the point where I went, wait a second, everything's an opportunity. And I went from poopy pants to, no, I celebrate all the emotions of life. I don't call emotions good or bad. They just are. Just like food isn't good or bad. That work, CrossFit's good or bad. No, it just is. And how we receive that changes everything. How you receive the cake is completely different, right, than actually eating the cake. Because if I eat the cake with a poor attitude, it is going to affect me for days, if not weeks. If I accept the food in a space of gratitude, I'm right back to being whatever the next meal is, whatever the next food. If I accept guilt, if I accept frustration, if I accept shame, I can then allow it to pass as well. But when I'm trying to hold on to joy and what I call the good emotions, right? I always want to be happy and so on and so forth. And I'm trying to press away the bad ones. I'm creating pressure on both sides. Pressure by trying to hold on to the good stuff, in quotations mark, and pressure on trying to push away the bad stuff. That's no way to live. When I realize I can just let it go and I can just go, come in anytime, open door policy, anytime, come and go. That made the best day ever. because I'm not holding on to, I have to accomplish X. I have to feel a certain way. I have to be a certain person. I can just be here.
And that all makes me think, including the waking up every day with a fresh start. My wife Kayla and I were talking about, there's a verse in the Bible, and I'm not going to get a verbatim, but paraphrasing something to the effect of somebody's worried about how and whether God's
Hmm.
going to provide for them, and he says, "Do the birds wake up worried about
Hmm.
where they're going to eat or how they're going to make their nest?" I
Yeah.
take care of the birds, and I could take care of the fish, and I take care of all the animals, and do they wake up concerned about
Hmm.
where they're gonna get what? Are they even concerned about other birds? And it's
Yes.
like, no. So
Yeah.
so then
Hmm.
that allows me to wake up each day with a fresh set of eyes and
Hmm.
unconcerned about where the prosperity um, and the contentment is gonna
Hmm.
come from. Because it's there, right? Like you said, when I open my eyeballs.
That's it. We've already won. Like we've already won. That's how, I mean, my faith is one of my greatest gifts to myself of I've already won. There is no other battle to take place. This is just life living. So it's already sealed. I've already won. And so now I just get to, all right, whatever happens here. But I know where eternity is and where that goes.
Yeah. We just talked about that the other day too. Like we get so caught up in today, in this moment, we allow, something that'll happen in seconds to ruin our day, ruin our week. And some people, they allow that to ruin their lives. And in
Yeah.
reality, this is a blink in eternity. And reminding myself, like, what are you frustrated about? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to remember this in 5 days, nonetheless, in 5,000 years.
Yeah, totally. And that's the importance of being able to have like cognitive reappraisal, and that's what we do at proclivity is we help people to first recognize that the reality is the reality. Okay. You left your laptop at home. You got to work. It's not there. Okay. That's the reality. But our perception of the reality can always change. Always change. I have the opportunity to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I left that laptop at home. I am so dumb. Now, I've used language to create an identity that I'm obviously bad or stupid because I left a laptop at home. So now I'm creating an identity that I'm not capable, I'm bad, I'm unable. So now when I'm driving back, I have shame and guilt on who I am because of the words I've said. So the reality was I left it at home, but my words created an identity that was a complete mistake. I'm an idiot. I'm always forgetful. This is why I'm never going to get a raise. Or I can look at it and go, huh, I did leave my laptop at home. That's interesting. All right. I wonder why, or I wonder how I left it at home. You know what? This is a good opportunity for me to be able to call my mom. This is a good opportunity for me to be able to breathe and listen to nothing, or maybe listen to a podcast. Now I give myself the ability to just take the reality as it is, or make it even a positive one. But I get to choose the perception of the reality. And if I don't, and I keep repping that out, I keep feeding the identity that I'm stupid, life is hard, it's impossible, so on and so forth. Good luck. Like, good luck.
Share with me your opinion on this. Something my wife and I talk about that we handle in our own way is when things like that happen. What has worked for me thus far is I allow myself to feel instantaneously.
Hmm.
So it's like when that happens, it's like shit. That's annoying, and like I'm frustrated for in an instant, and
Yeah.
I mean like mathematical instantaneous, where it's like 1 point. It's right here. I'm feeling right now, and
Hmm.
then after that it passes as quick as it came, and it's like, okay, now, all right, now what are we gonna
Hmm.
do? And
Hmm.
make a conscious effort to like feel in the moment, opposed to like you said, restricting it,
Yep.
allowing that to pass through,
Hmm.
and through being the key word there. Like,
Yep.
and it passes through.
Yes.
Opposed to bottling it up and feeling like, well, Joel and Christian said I can't get mad about this laptop, and this
Yeah.
laptop's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I get this all boiled in, and it's like, no, 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 I'm still annoyed. Like, I don't want to turn around and go back home. So I'm going to
Yes.
be frustrated, and I can pause, I can take a breath, and I can
Hmm.
reframe it. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I could use
Yes.
this as an opportunity to call my mom, listen to that
Yep.
podcast, and
Yep.
make the
Yep.
most out of this inconvenience.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. And I would say, just like fitness, just like nutrition, it depends. It depends, right? I want everyone to know whatever you feel and however you're feeling, it is correct. It's not good or bad. It is what it is. So receive and accept that. And you may be able to receive it. And for me, laughter breaks it every time. For me, it's just for me, and that's what works. And for others, I do encourage them like, cool, I want you to take the next 60 seconds, whatever curse words you need, whatever things you need to hit or throw, as long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else. I want you to do that. Get it fully out, because my laughter is dispelling my energy, right? The negative energy. And that just works for me. Yelling, screaming, or hitting may be dispelling the energy for someone else. Great. The whole thing, just like you said, is we're just trying to get through it to be able to go, cool, now I got through it. I dispelled the energy just like dogs do, cats do, horses do. Doorbell rings, fur goes up, dogs bark, show their teeth, threat is gone, they shake their body. They dispel the energy.
Mm.
How do you want to dispel your energy? Depends. So figure out what it is, but holding it in is not dispelling the energy. And this is where we start seeing physical manifestations of disease, or we start having rapid, thoughts. And then we start creating identities with those thoughts. We start believing those thoughts. This is the nasty road we can go down in when we don't get through it. We don't dispel the energy.
Yeah, yeah. Holding in that energy, like you said, causes physical, psychological
Hmm.
manifestations, and leading to adverse results,
For sure.
which can be, physical or mental health. And so, where do you recommend people start when they're like, okay, how do I figure out what works for me to dispel this energy, especially
Mm.
if they find themselves in a situation where whatever they're doing currently isn't working for them.
The first thing that I suggest, and this is something I learned, or a quote that I learned from Mark that really stuck with me, is curiosity kills conflict. The very first thing that we teach our clients: stay curious. Stay curious. When we start making statements, it's usually because we're scared. We're scared, we feel unsafe, there's something going on, so we're creating statements. And so even if those statements are I'm a dummy or this and that, it's actually we're actually creating safety around that identity that I'm a dummy because I've made that decision. So now I'm justifying that decision that I left my laptop at home. I'm such a dummy. That's actually safe. Instead of questioning it and going like, okay, well, why did I? Because as soon as we question it, we start leaving behind guilt and shame. Guilt and shame are the two drivers that are going to keep us uh, in a stuck point. I feel guilty or shameful that I left my laptop at home and I don't want any of my coworkers to know. That's guilt or shame, right? If you take away the guilt and shame, you just walked in, you're like, yeah, I left my laptop at home, right? Okay, no big deal. But if not, then I'm going to come in and I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry, my kid. I'm going to now start lying, or maybe start doing first things first, guys. Questions, because questions pull, statements press. Statements create the pressure, questions pull in the answer. And so if you start questioning, just go, that's interesting. And the key thing right there is the it's a neurological signal to the brain to go, that's interesting. If there's ever been something really weird that happens, you usually turn your head and you go, it's just a natural reaction. And so that immediately fires up the brain of going, oh, there has to be something else here. And so by doing that, it immediately cognitively gets you into it's interesting. What's going on here? And start asking questions. You don't have to create the answers, just keep asking the questions. And that's usually going to take you from like level 10 down a little bit. So now you can actually start bringing yourself down to be able to go, oh, I see what happened here. And we can think logically. But if we're at level 10 and we're losing our mind and our breath is up in our chest, good luck trying to use any techniques to try to get you out of it. It's just not going to work.
I just used that unconsciously with my son this morning. He was complaining about it's the end of the school year and they made some sudden change to the bus loop. He goes, they flipped around the bus schedule and now I'm on the bus forever. And they're like, and he's like, making it as if like they did it to
Yes,
him.
that's right.
And I said, well, do you think they did it just to make you mad? No. Like, yeah. Like, what, do you think they had a good reason for, switching the
Yeah.
bus loop? Probably. And just like,
Yes.
like at least acknowledge it. Like you're allowed to be annoyed. Like I get it.
Totally.
Like nobody wants to be on the bus
Hmm.
longer. Uh,
Yes.
but like you said, pulling away the identity and realizing they didn't change the bus loop because they wanted to like get one on this random eighth grader who lives on this road. Because screw that
Yeah,
kid. It's
that's right.
we're there. There is the reality where there are things that were simply a byproduct of a changing environment.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do we react to that? That is, I mean, it's so interesting of like, as parents, how we'll treat our children is like, oh yeah, that's exactly how you should treat yourself. And we tend not
Mm.
to, right? We should be questioning when we get all ramped up, right? At work. I can't believe whoa, whoa. Let's just act like it's our child. Let's just ask some questions. Let's be calm and in control. Let's get into that state because the majority of the time when we're getting fired up in level 10, it's only because it's our trauma from the past. It's our little Joel. It's our little Christian who's like, I'm scared, I feel unsafe, and I don't like this. And so it's actually up to us to create the safety in that position. Adult Joel needs to go back and be able to go, hey, Joel, you're safe. I got you, buddy. And maybe mom didn't, maybe dad didn't, maybe the scenario or the situation didn't, but I got you now. And you always got me. Why? Because I'm always with you. And learning that technique of being able to create safety with yourself, not seeking it from someone else, is a beautiful way to be able to help yourself down regulate. And sometimes you just got to look at, my nephew looks dang near identical to what I looked like as a kid. And so it's a perfect inner child work because all I have to do is think about Oliver and I'm like, oh, cool. There I am. All right, there you are, Joel. Oh, how do you talk to Oh, there we go. Ah, I feel better. It's it's very interesting how parents can talk so well to their kids and yet themselves they're just brutal.
Yeah, and I encourage anybody listening, go through that experiment. Whether you need to look at your child, your nephew, or even pull up a picture of yourself when you were
Hmm.
in elementary school, when you were in kindergarten, pull up your kindergarten picture, and then write that kid a letter. And it's like, what would you
Mm.
say to them? What would you say to them to keep going forward? What would you say to them to how to handle this situation?
Hmm.
And read that to yourself out loud.
Yes, yes, and that's actually an exercise that I encourage people to do. We do it in the proclivity method. I talk about a story with my nephew, not Oliver, my other nephew, and it was a time in which I was with him. It was just me and him down in San Francisco. He just got done with practice, and he runs up to me and he goes, "Hey, Uncle Joel, can I play with my friends?" Dude, I'm a funkle. You get to do whatever you want. Yes, go play with your friends. So he's playing with her friends, and Christian, I don't know if you played this game. I feel like it's a game that all little boys play at all times, but it would you just have a ball, like it could be a football, could be like a smaller ball, and everybody's just trying to tackle and crush you to death.
I knew exactly where you're going. Yeah, of course. You didn't have to say it. As soon as you said there's a ball, it's like, yeah, it's one versus everybody else.
Everybody else, right? And I played it, back in the 90s, like as a kid getting absolutely annihilated. You just run around, just getting crushed. And here they are playing it. I'm like, I remember that game. This is a great game.
We
And
used to call
my
it a kick return, and we'd use a football, and it'd be like one person would start down the yard at one end, and your goal is to get to the other end of the yard. And if you got it, you won. But 99% chance you're not getting it.
yeah, dude. And
But the
getting
one
a
time you get it, it's like, put that on my shirt.
yeah, yeah, you literally the badge of honor. The rest of the day is the greatest day ever.
And you
And
remind your friends all the time, hey, remember that
yeah,
that
yeah,
Wednesday
yeah,
in
uh-huh.
June, the sky was
Mhm.
just right.
Yeah.
Got past your ass.
Yeah, and you thought you had me, and I shook you one last time, right? And stiff arm the next. Yes, exactly. And so I'm watching my nephew do that, right? And he's a little guy, right? He's a smaller guy, but very athletic. So he's the smallest guy out there. And he got the ball and he's juking. I'm like, oh man, look him go, boom, 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 boom. And then one kid gets him by the hand, right? And slowing him down a little bit. And the biggest kid is running up behind him and he doesn't see him. And I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good. And right when he gets his hand released, wham, from behind, dude, this kid just annihilates him, pancakes him straight into the ground, right? All the kids jump on top of him, ball squirts out, right? So they all continue on. He gets up, he's holding his arm. And I can see he's crying, but it's not because he's hurt, because he was really scared. Didn't see that coming. Biggest kid hit him. Everybody piled on top of him. It was a really scary moment. And first thing I did, I saw him. He started to walk towards me. His mom's not there. His dad's not there, but his uncle is. I get down on one knee. I open up my arms. And he comes and he puts his head on my chest. And I wrap him up. So physically, I'm creating safety. He's crying on my chest. And I whisper into his ear and I said, hey, buddy, that looked like it hurt. Did it hurt? And he goes, yeah. And I go, really looked like it was scary too. Was it scary? And he goes, yeah. And I go, your uncle's here. You're safe in my arms. I got you. Everything's going to be okay. And I picked him up, grabbed his bag, and took him home. And the reason I tell that story is because then I ask my clients to go, will you write that story for me with one of your kids or one of your nieces or your nephews? Say they just got really scared. Can you write that down for me? And they go, yeah, okay. And so, what are you going to write? And so they'll say, I want you to put, hey, whatever your niece, nephew, or random child's name is. Hey, Johnny, I know you're really scared, but I'm here. I got you. You're totally safe. And I love you so much. And I have them read it out. And they go, yeah, that feels good. I want to be there for him. And I go, cool, cool. And I go, all right, take out Johnny and put in your name. And their eyes just go, whoop, and I make them read it out. Because now they have a sentence that when they're scared, they can say, hey, Joel, I got you, buddy. I know that was really scary, but I'm here. I love you so much, and you're safe. And I've used that sentence with me when I feel overworked, overwhelmed, super scared so many times. And it has brought me immense comfort because I'm there for me. For that scared Joel, I'm there to be able to go, I got you, man. I got you. And so I create this identity about myself that's nurturing, caring, comforting, not fearful and scared and needing everyone else. And so that helps me to be able to go, I calm down. Now I can ask the questions. This is going to pass. What a great opportunity. Best day ever.
That's great. Just there's so much there. I just the power of taking the sentence from them to me hits hard for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Big time. Big time.
I was just working with a client the other day, and part of their story was, something to the effect of, "I'm afraid of what they'll think of me."
Mm.
And I said, "Take out they, put me,"
Mm.
or take out they, put I.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of what I will think of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's the same like thought process of like coming in after being late because you left your laptop at home and lying because you're worried about what they will think. No, you already know what you think of you. And if you create a strong opinion of self, you can walk in and they could say whatever they want. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I know without a doubt who I am. And so there's nothing you can say that actually changes that. And I use that as an example to like moms and dads. I would say, well, are you a mom? They're like, yeah. Well, how come? Well, because I have a child. There's no difference in creating any other identity. If you can solidify that I am this person, then anybody could say whatever, and it's not going to take it away from you. No one can tell you you're not a dad, right? Because you're like, look at my offspring, it's right here. We need to take that same approach when it comes to our identity, where we go, no, no, no. And if we don't have things like, oh, here's my celebration folder. Oh, here are all the things, the nice things people have said about me, done for me, the things I've accomplished. Then when we go back to be like, look at we go, oh, there's nothing there. So then we start questioning ourselves. Well, am I really that good of a person?
Mm.
And so this is the reason that I encourage people to go, yeah, man, heck yeah. I busted out 10 unbroken ring muscle ups cold at a CrossFit competition because I kept getting poked by one of the competitors, like, oh, do a muscle up, do a muscle up, do a muscle up. Fine, I'll do a muscle up. Well, somebody caught me on videotape doing it. Well, dang right did that go in the celebration, right? At 38 years old, I'm ripping out PR cold, ring muscle ups. Heck yeah, that's my proof to myself, Joel. You're doing the thing with fitness. You're moving your body every day. You're keeping yourself healthy. And so that's why I keep it there. Not to be able to go, oh, let me gloat and show like I'm the greatest ring muscle upper of all time. Nope. Nope. Just be able to show like, man, you put in a lot of work, since 2009 doing CrossFit. That's damn impressive, Joel, that you've done it for that long and you still can do those main ring muscle ups.
What on that note of celebrating the wins and tying into what I said in the beginning about that balance of like contentment plus staying hungry.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to somebody that let's say they start working with you and they're where I was 5 years ago, and they're like, I'm not content with the things that I've accomplished thus far. And how do we balance uh finding wins where we don't see them
Yeah.
and acknowledging that I'm not where I want to be, and I'm ready to make a pivot.
Yeah. Yeah. The first, right? Anytime I was just talking to my business partner about that, one of my cues in coaching is that as soon as I start hearing statements, then I start questioning. I'm not where I want to be. Boom, pause. There's something that's scaring you to make that statement. I'm not where I want to be. Okay, that's an emotion, most likely. So you're feeling emotion of maybe insecure, doubtful, not enough. Okay, where is that coming from? So I want to question that and get somebody to come around and go, well, wait, why don't you feel that it's enough? Why don't you feel right now is enough? Let's create contentness now, create the foundation because now I don't have to chase. Everything that comes to me comes to me. It just adds, it piles on because I'm fully complete now. Now at this point, I can go, oh, okay, cool. What an opportunity with best hour of the day. All right, I'll do it. I'll take it. Right? Oh, what an opportunity to start another business. Okay, I'll take it. But both I could leave. Both, I could go, no, I'm okay. Because I created the contentedness because I asked the question, because I created the safety. And so, not saying that people shouldn't go for things, but I want to make sure that we're content first and then go, cool, what can we add on? Because now there is no like, I need more. I need more. What's the next finish line? What's the next finish line? Nope. I'm totally content. I'll just keep moving.
That's cool. And I do find that the more people that I work with in this area, with
Hmm.
with their words and their mindset, is that many people, when we dig into that, are more content than they realize, and
Yeah.
that they don't necessarily need a different job or a new house or whatever they think that whatever they think that external
Hmm.
thing is that's going to make them
Yes.
happy. uh More often than not, it's an internal thing. And
Hmm.
a sidebar to that is there are scenarios where it's like, okay, maybe I do need to move location, or I'm called to do something different, and it's like we can
Totally.
totally work through that. Um but I do find that most people, uh, that bigger lever is that internal of how do I feel about this situation, or how am I making myself feel about this
Hmm.
situation.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. How do I feel about this situation? I have found from my work there are so many people disconnected from their bodies of being able to feel. The body knows what's best, and yet we're so tuned out. We think logically, I have to figure out because we are in such a day and age of so much knowledge that we have gotten way too heady, too conscious, and very little subconscious. Because if we went back 100 years, there was much less information, which means there was a lot more time of sitting outside, walking around, maybe communication. This is why people went to the bar or they met up and they just jawed and talked because nobody really actually knew the answer. Because what we wouldn't get to just pull it up on Google and say, no, that's the answer. It's right there. No, I heard it from Huberman, from Peter Attia, right? From whoever on whatever podcast, on whatever Instagram, whatever. And so being able to take a step back, let go of information overload, and actually go, no, 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 tell me how your body feels because your body actually knows. So if you have tightness on your chest, that means it's a constricted feeling. So now you don't have to logically think your way out of the constricted feeling. You just have to listen to the body and go, okay, well, what does it want? And then when we release that feeling, now we create expansiveness. Now we can make decisions that are open, free, and the body is being able to flow with it. But so often we get so stuck heady and we just don't know how to touch into the body. And that's including myself. That's including myself. It's a literally a conscious practice to learn how to downregulate and to tune into the body.
Yeah, tune into the feels,
Yeah.
because it's so peculiar, because in some areas I find that people will think themselves into situations they don't want to be in. And I mean that both internally and externally. Like,
For
we
real.
will, we'll choose a job or choose a house, or sometimes even choose a spouse because it makes sense logistically. Like, oh
Yep.
yeah, I'll make, this has got good hours and it's got good money and it's got good benefits, without taking into consideration, how do I feel about that,
Hmm.
doing that job. And
Hmm.
there may be a different occupation that pays a little bit
Yes.
less, that doesn't have the resume or the credentials or whatever you're looking for. It has less of that and more of the feels, and that would be in more in alignment with you, and you would feel
Yes.
more content. And I worked through one of my clients with this, where there was this temptation to go for this promotion uh, that everybody goes for. It's like the next level. It's like
Yeah.
I got to level
Hmm.
up. And we were talking about how he felt about where he was currently at. And it's like, well, I like the hours. It
Mhm.
fits my lifestyle. I make enough
Yeah.
money. Uh, and I'm doing generally the same thing. Uh, and I like it. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, well then why would you go for this other thing? What's the so you told me the benefits of the other thing. What's the cost of the other thing? Because it's like the benefits are,
Mhm.
more pay,
Mhm.
sexy title. I level
Mhm.
up. It's like, well, what does it cost? And it's like, well, I'd be gone more. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, you just told me you like spending time with your spouse and you like
Yeah.
the freedom,
Yeah.
you like, how much you get to work out. And it's like, would you get to do those things in this next one if you leveled up, so to speak?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Quotations.
yeah, it's like, no. It's like, okay, well, is that for you then? And
Mhm.
I'm posing it as a question because it's like, it's not my answer, it's your answer. And
Mhm.
when you reflect on it, it's like, oh well, no, it's not for me. Stay,
Yes.
picking this option that looks lesser on paper is more for
Mhm.
me.
Yes. Yeah. And that work of being able to like, okay, well, let's move into it and identify as being in that position and being away from your spouse. Okay, tell me how you feel. Put yourself into that identity and tell me how you feel being away from your spouse. Tell me how you feel not being able to work out as much. Tell me how you feel. What does that feel within you? And that helps people because, again, if we just stay up in the head, it just logically makes sense. Okay, more money. I can put away more money. I can get a bigger house. I can, have a better retirement. I can logically, and people will make that logic decision without feeling it first, without dipping their toe in it by being able, because we're the only species that can create literally visceral physical responses in our bodies through our thoughts because we have that capacity. So we can use it both for the good and the bad and be able to put ourselves into that position and go, oh, yeah, I don't like how that feels. Man, being gone away from her, man, I love my wife. Like I want to be next to her all the time. I don't like that at all. Now we get to feel it out, try it out, take it for a test drive. Yet if we don't, then we can just end up making a heady decision. And then we end up overworked, stressed, anxious, all of the classic signs that we tend to work with because they made heady decisions without feeling the body.
That's one of my favorite tools is when I work with people is like, let's especially when there's either or scenario. Do I stay or
Mm-hmm.
do I go? Do I pick this or do I pick that? And we just pick one. And it's like, hey, let's pick one, and you're gonna write down what it's like to do that. What's your
Mm-hmm.
new life like? What does it feel like? What does it say about me to do this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And we play around with that. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, when they look at those words on paper and they read them, and we down regulate that breath, they are
Yes.
able to look at it in a way that becomes more obvious whether it is or isn't for them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they read it and they're like, I don't want that at all. It's like,
Yeah.
now we know. And they, and I love to boil that, after we sift through it, and I love to boil it down to a statement, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what am I hoping to get out of either this decision or this career or this life? Like, what's the core statement um
Yeah.
that we can lean back on, so when something comes up like this and you're tempted by the logic, you
Mm-hmm.
can go back and no, I know I've worked through this.
That's right.
What's important to me is I love spending time with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So then when things come up and you're like, man, this is a cool opportunity, but it takes away from spending time with my wife, and I've identified
Mm-hmm.
that that's a core attribute for
Mm-hmm.
my life, well then, man, that's
Yes.
cool, but not for me.
Not for me. That's so it's creating that outcome. What's your clear, precise outcome? And a lot of people have no idea how to create outcomes, of like, nope, precise, straight to the point. What is it that if you could hand it to a total stranger on the street, they would be able to read it out loud and know exactly, right? My outcome is to spend as much time with my wife as possible. That somebody could read that and go, oh, okay, so you want to spend the most time as you can with your wife. Nailed it. Thank you. But too often it's, you know, well, I want to be able to balance this and accomplish this and go through this. And whoa, you're confusing yourself. You don't know the outcome. Get a clear outcome. Now everything can funnel from that. And that makes it very simple.
Yeah. I love helping people identify their values.
Mm,
So many people walk around without values, and
yeah,
it becomes that filter. And
yeah,
you saying
totally.
that, some of my values that are for me is spirituality,
Hmm.
freedom being
Hmm.
time, finances, the flexibility to do the things that I want to do, and relationships. And so
Hmm.
when I look at those three, um, when I make a big decision, it's like, okay, well, does this allow me more freedom, or is it
Yeah,
restricting my freedom? Is
that's
this,
right.
is how is this affect me spiritually? Is this allowing me
Mm,
to sit in more with my faith, or is it a distraction? How
hmm.
is this affecting my ability to have a relationship that has quality and quantity with my wife, my son, and the people that I care about?
That's right.
Uh, and if it's constricting those things, well, it may be cool and it may be not for me.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Gosh, man, I love that. I absolutely love that. Mm, good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's so many people walk around, they don't know what they want.
That's gonna make it really hard to be able to get to your destination. 40 years just walking and wandering around. It could be.
Yeah. How do you on that note, you talked about being clear on what you want, and I find that
Mm,
there's a balance there of I want to be simple and specific, and I
hmm.
want room for flexibility. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like my goals are always a north star. Um,
Hmm.
and in the pursuit of that star, I have the ability to make pivots. I have
Oh, yeah.
the ability to go around certain obstacles, go over certain obstacles, hang out. If I see something, something cool on my journey, it's like, oh, well, I really want to appreciate this. I might hang out here for a little bit. I didn't forget about the
Hmm.
star, but I want to appreciate this creek that I
Hmm.
found.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it.
and so, uh, speaking of that, how do you help people with that? Not get so
Yeah.
minute with their goal, and leaving room for more.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said it beautifully. Like, you're going in the direction. And what you find is the first and foremost, when you write it down, you could write it down. And I did this when I was 17 years old. I wrote down, I think it was like 17 or 18 goals I want to accomplish in my lifetime. Like, not even like 20, right? Or 15. And it was just like 17. And I still have that piece of paper, right? 20 years later. And what I've realized is that without even creating any like smart goal structure to it, I've accomplished probably 10 out of the 17,
Wow.
right? Where, I had one that said, hey, I want to ride a bike down the coast of California. And I was at my aunt's 70th birthday. My cousin came over with his Harley, and we were talking about it. He was like, well, if you want, take it for a ride. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, go for it. So I hop on it. We're at Redondo Beach, which is right off Highway 1. And I get on and I'm riding, and I just kept going and going and going. And I was out for probably 2 hours. And what I realized when I was riding, I was on the coast and I'm like taking these corners, right? Beautiful coastline, that I went, here I am riding a bike on the coast of California. Done. And initially, was it that I was thinking that, oh, I'll ride, a pedal bike from the top all the way down to the bottom? Maybe. Yet here I was without any set goal, and there I was. And that shows how powerful the subconscious can be in driving us into those goals. Yet the first thing we have to do is be able to write it down. And we're pouring it in that north, like you said, and allow that. flexibility to take place and allow some other goals to be able to, all right, I thought that was pointing north. No, that one's pointing south. I'm just going to let that one go without creating guilt, shame, or whatever else. Sometimes we get too locked in on one goal and then it's like, oh, now I'm missing out on all these other things, or I'm creating more hurdles or stress in my life. Well, that seems silly, right? And so quite often I'll set a goal, I'll start getting into it, and I go, this isn't serving me. That's okay to let it go. And I can let it go without any shame because I do whatever I can to truly avoid the finish line. We get to a finish line, and usually when we get to a finish line, we stop. And so I like erasing finish lines as much as I possibly can. There are times where, hey, I ran an ultra marathon, 34 miles. I'm gonna get to the finish line, and you best believe my ass is gonna stop after running for 34 miles. Yet a lot of the times we get too stuck, and I have to accomplish, I have to finish it, and then we're missing opportunities.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that when you identify, what it is you want and who you want to be, and you live authentically to that, those
Mm-hmm.
goals end up happening seamlessly and many
Yes.
times subconsciously.
Yes. 100%.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Joel. I really appreciate you
Yeah, of
you hopping
course,
on the
man.
podcast. Um,
Absolutely.
before we close this out, if people want to connect with you or check out what you got going on, where can they find you?
If you guys want to check out what we're doing at Proclivity, you can head to www.proclivity.co. You can also head to our Instagram page, proclivity.co. You can email me at joel@proclivity.co. Uh, and reach out. We always love connecting with people. Um, we work with business minded people, right? Moms, dads, who are struggling with creating the habits to create a healthy, happy life. And so I do the life coaching part. Emily does the nutrition coaching part. And so we take a psychological approach of being able to break the habits of the past and create a new identity to the future.
I love it. Thanks, dude. I
Yeah, man.
appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on, man. This is great.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you're ready to rewrite your story, get out of your own way, design a life that gets you excited to wake up in the morning and do something that you love, book a discovery call, and we will chat about whether mindset and lifestyle coaching is for you. And until next time, thanks again for listening.